started, and if anybody joins as we go, we will be so kind as to let them in, but we'll go ahead and get started in the interest of everyone else's time. So welcome. Thank you all for joining today. Good afternoon to everybody. We're so used to doing these at night. It's nice to take a little break during the day to catch up with everybody, so that's cool. So I'm Alex Heron, Assistant Director in the Office of Alumni and Parent Engagement on the DeLand campus, class of 2016. Very proud Hatter. Cut me open, I bleed green. That's what Rena and I both say in the office every day. And really thankful for you all taking the time to join us today. So basically how today will go, each of us in the office will kind of introduce ourselves, and we'll give you each an update from our specific area. So I will give it to Becca first and let her give you some campus updates.
Hi, welcome everyone. So I'm the Director of Alumni and Parent Engagement. One second. Sorry, we're tuning in from offices next door, so there's some feedback. But Director in Office of Alumni and Parent Engagement. So I focus primarily with the Alumni Board and some leadership Stetson programming, which helps filter alumni onto the Alumni Board. And then currently I'm working on our President event meet and greets, which is kind of rolling out his introduction to the alumni community. So happy to share some more on that, but I'll wait for questions on it. From there, really what's happening on campus is we've welcomed back our students, which is exciting for fall semester, and been going pretty well. It is a virtual hybrid kind of function. There's some in class, but limited in class, and there's a lot more online happening. So far, so good. We're still here on campus. Some of you may have read some campuses have pulled the plug on the in-person experience for fall, but we're still plugging along, making it, you know, as best of an experience as we can, despite the social distancing parameters put in place and that type of thing. Dr. Rolke has been doing some weekly updates for staff and students and faculty so that we're kind of in the know on all the changes or things happening around campus, but he's also, it's giving us a nice opportunity to get to know him better and kind of where he's headed as he's coming in during a unpredictable time, I think is the best word to use with a lot of things going on in the world. So he's doing, you know, some general updates, figuring things out, kind of pushed his strategic planning a little bit back as he just gets an assessment of where we are, who Stetson is, and especially while we navigate during COVID and those types of things. So I'm going to dive in a little bit on our meet and greet events with Dr. Rolke, because I know that's been a big question with us hosting our alumni events. This is great stuff. When do we get to hear from Dr. Rolke directly and meet him? So we just got confirmation yesterday afternoon, so you all are the first ones to hear this, that we're actually have slated in his events, and they'll be launching here mid-September. They'll all be virtual, and we're looking to do those kind of area specific and time zone specific. So we're going to do 7 of those in our key markets. So we're starting with Washington, D.C., then heading to New York. Those will be our first 2. So if you're in one of those locations, you'll be tuning in specific to those. From there, we're going to come down to Atlanta. So we'll do an Atlanta specific virtual event. And then we're going to move to Florida and do a full Florida event. So that should be fun. From there, we'll do an Eastern time zone event. So if you were in one of the cities on the East Coast that specifically had an event, and you couldn't tune into that one, you can still join the Eastern time zone, but we're also giving that opportunity to folks who are in the Carolinas and up in Maine. We even have some folks. So we want to make sure we give you the time you need to chat, you know, send in questions, that type of thing. From there, we'll move into the Central time zone, and then we'll do a Mountain and Pacific time zones combined which will turn out to be a 5 o'clock event for the Pacific, so the West Coast, but a 6 o'clock event for Mountain. So those will be our 7 events, which is pretty exciting. We'll be doing those from mid-September to mid-October. So he hopefully will have had a chance to get in front of most of our alumni through those. And then that'll lead him right into homecoming, which is a pretty exciting year for us. We are still doing homecoming, although it's going to look a little bit different. So on that note, I will turn it over to Amy, because that's an area she really manages directly. But as we loop back around, if you have any questions on alumni board, leadership Stetson programming, or Dr. Rolke's meet and greet tour, feel free to send them my way here throughout the call. But on that note, Amy.
Thanks, Becca. So I am Amy Datis. I graduated from Stetson in 2004. So I bleed green, as Alex and Rena do as well. One of my responsibilities in the office, or a few of them, are, like Becca said, homecoming. So this year, one of our big undertakings was making that decision to change it from the in-person event to a virtual event for the weekend. What does that look like? What kind of platforms we use, how do we get as many people engaged in that weekend as possible, while also still carrying on some of the tradition that we have year to year here on campus. So we have been working really hard to work with our deans from our colleges and schools to have them highlight 2 to 3 areas that we would focus on academic webinars during the weekend. So our College of Arts and Sciences has already selected their 3 areas. We're working with the School of Business to get some of their areas also put together, and School of Music to see if there's any opportunity to do some performances during the weekend, any pre-recordings, anything like that, while also then allowing our class reunions to celebrate this year as well. So Miss Karen this year I know is celebrating a reunion and has already reached out to see how she can help. So if you are in a class year that ends in a 5 or a 0, traditionally this would be your year to celebrate at homecoming. And we're still going to plan to do something during the weekend, but definitely virtually. So whether it be a Zoom reunion or Zoom meeting just like this, where we can see each other's faces, bring something fun into it, like a trivia or a different kind of exposition or exhibition kind of event, painting, different things like that, where we can get creative, get people together while not able to be on campus together physically. So all of that will start rolling out within the next few weeks as we build the schedule out. Still very excited to be able to see folks, even if it's just on the computer screen. So the weekend for homecoming is November 6th through the 8th. So that's a big thing to push there as well, is that first weekend in November. So we're working really hard on that. You should be getting emails or something in the mail soon as well. And then in addition to homecoming, some of the other things I work with Becca and the team on are regional events. So like the Dr. Rolke events that she mentioned, where we break those out by city or region. I work with members of our alumni board to also host regional events out in their area, usually in person again, but now it'll have to be virtually on Zoom. So for those of you who are in a few cities, I'll call out some future events. We have one in Jacksonville on September 10th. They're doing actually a comedy night. So they have a local stand-up comedian that'll be present doing a free stand-up show on Zoom. So that's fun. And then Atlanta, I know we have some friends in the Atlanta area on this call. So if you missed one that they did a few weeks ago, the next one is actually next week on September 1st. So after this call, I know I'll have to follow up with Miss Amanda to see if she has any friends in the Atlanta area that's able to make it, get them connected. I'm going to call her out and see if she can make some of our future events. So those more will be posted as we plan some of those as well. Hopefully, if your city wasn't called out, then we can definitely get something planned in your area. But I work with Olivia on the upcoming Atlanta event. So timely enough, I will go ahead and pass it off to Olivia, but happy to also answer any questions after this about homecoming, regional events, or anything like that as well. So Olivia.
Hi folks, my name is Olivia Nutting and I am the Student and Alumni Program Coordinator in the Alumni office here in DeLand. just a couple cool things that now students are back on campus. We're just trying to figure out how to keep them engaged. So through that, we have started, or I guess when they left campus, we started Webinar Wednesday, which ultimately was to keep young alumni connected back with the university and to have students attending different events to keep them connected, even though they were doing virtual learning. So now with the restrictions that are put in place with in-person events, we're still kind of continuing this rolling on of all of that. And so we have some pretty cool Webinar Wednesdays that are in the works. We have one this upcoming Wednesday that's passion to profession. We have Makita Smith. She's gonna be talking about like how to become an entrepreneur, how she manages a full-time job while also having her like side hustle. So a couple, that'll be pretty cool. And then in addition to some other topics such as personal branding, creating self-security, another one on being an entrepreneur, we have a couple different panels set up as well. So this week, Thursday, we have a student athlete alumni panel to help with help folks, you know, who are student athletes understand how their like collegiate athletic experience can roll over into life after college. So a couple really cool things. And one of the best parts about it is a lot of the programming that we do comes directly either from alumni feedback or student feedback. So a lot of the topics for Webinar Wednesday, it's exactly what the students want to hear. And then like, for example, the panel, we had an alumni reach out and say, this is what I wanted when I was here. So now, you know, we create programming to see, to do what he wants or to do what he would have wanted. So some really cool things. And then in addition to that, Green, White, and You, our student alumni association here on campus, still has some plans going on. They're working very closely with me, helping put on the Webinar Wednesdays. So pretty cool to have them have experience doing virtual events, right? You know, they've done in person and now the whole world is virtual. So they're learning how to keep up. And we're also doing just some cool social campaigns, celebrating some students on social media, celebrating spaces on campus, different resources, and also just doing some different creative video infographics to, you know, teach some students some life skills and all kinds of stuff. So we're staying busy and trying to keep the students engaged as best as we can. And it's been a lot of fun. So with that, I'll send it over to Alex for some more general alumni updates and all that good stuff.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And yeah, so some cool upcoming general alumni events that we have on the schedule. So we'll close out this month. And if you noticed any of our videos on Facebook throughout the last month and a half, I would say we had one alumna join us for 3 Facebook Lives. She did the power of personal wellness. She talked about all kinds of ways she keeps the mind, body, and soul well for her. And then we also had Carly Badke join us a few weeks ago, and she led a 45-minute yoga instruction. So those are archived on our Facebook as well if you ever want to take a look at those. But we'll be closing out the month this weekend. Friday night, we're going to have Dr. Primrose Cameron. She's an alumna as well. She really does everything. She's an empowerment coach, motivational speaker. She does amazing work, and she's actually a published children's book author as well. So she's going to be joining us on Facebook Live to discuss a little bit about her book. It's called Princess Primrose Goes to Jamaica, and then she'll do a live reading on Facebook for all the little hatters out there. So that's how we'll close out the month. And then go into September, we've got some great stuff lined up, and then there are some things that we're working on as well still, but we do have one Facebook Live concert scheduled in for September. And September 15th to October 15th is actually Hispanic Heritage Month. So we're going to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month programming on that September 18th, that Friday night. Danny Mejia, a young alum, he'll be joining us to do a Facebook Live concert, working on scheduling one more. And then, like Amy mentioned, with her regional events and Zoom and all this trivia, all that fun stuff, Olivia and I are also going to work on some Greek life ones. Olivia mentioned the student athlete one. So working on some really cool things to try and keep everybody as engaged as we can. And on that note, with students too, our office and some of our members of our division actually helped with move-in when the students came back to campus, and we couldn't help them in ways that we used to. We couldn't move their stuff to their room for them or anything, but it was great to meet them and meet some of the parents. And one thing that I'll just share with the group here is the parents, as they were moving their students in, they're so nice and they were so thankful of all the hard work that, you know, the university staff has done to prepare campus for returning students. But they said their biggest concern was not necessarily their student being alone here, leaving their student here, but what was the social experience going to be like? They were, you know, totally sure that their student would be able to adjust whether they had in-person or online classes. And that's kind of where we came in with when I heard about this was, what is my student's social life going to be like? What's the social experience going to be like? And that's something I know the parents were worried about. So obviously we want to provide as much as we can for them. We're working with members of all over campus to try and get our events pushed out more to the students as well. So if any of you on the call, or if you know any alumni that would love to even host just like a general networking night, we'd love to hear it, because the students, we want to be able to keep them and offer them as much as we can to kind of keep them as engaged as possible and give them the best social experience that we can given the circumstances now. But again, thank you for the rest of the staff for all your updates as well. And Becca, did you want to give a little bit of detail about our new website?
Yes, exciting news on the website, and then and we're going to launch into a fun social campaign leveraging the website in our next newsletter. So you may have noticed we were sending weekly emails out to our alumni audience through the summer while our alumni were still at home during the COVID times and working remote. Some of you still are, but we knew the majority was at the time. So we're trying to put on a significant amount of events through the summer to keep you engaged and connected, and hopefully network if for those Hatters who maybe have lost a job and are looking to leverage their university connections to find a job, that type of thing. So you may have noticed we were doing weekly emails out to you all with upcoming events and opportunities and that type of thing to hopefully, while social distancing, you felt you had a community, even though it was virtual. So we did just transition from those weekly emails into a monthly newsletter. So you'll start seeing those monthly newsletters through the fall and the spring. In the summer, depending what it looks like next year, we may transition back to the weekly emails, but that may have been something that you noticed. We did send out around August 15th, we sent out our August newsletter. It had a couple of features, Convocation, Hatter Highlight, which is a new series we've launched, which are basically alumni spotlights. Alex can share a little more on that in the form if you'd like to nominate a Hatter or yourself. That's certainly acceptable too, to be featured. Usually our Hatter Highlight also works with us to do a webinar or is engaged in some other way. So we're trying to get you connected just deeper than featuring you. And then at the bottom is an opportunity to give back. Right now we're having the Technology and Book Fund is a really big one. We have our COVID Emergency Fund. Both of those are around our students. Some of them have been affected, their families, from COVID and are unable to maybe cover the costs that they thought they would be able to, or that their families would have been able to. So that's certainly an option if you're feeling like you're in a place and could give back. That's an option. And then the Technology and Book Fund takes it a little bit more specific in that some of the students now that weren't predicting that they'd be online in the fall don't maybe have their own personal computers, and so they were looking to leverage the library and the laptops and computer stations and things. So they're lacking the funds to access the technology they need and the books that they may need for their particular courses. So that speaks specifically to that fund. So if you feel, or maybe you were someone that was in a place where you leveraged a scholarship during your time to cover some of your books or that type of thing, those are kind of our current campaigns going on that we could use support from our alumni. And then most recently, some of you may have heard, some of you may not, depending how far you are, but we had a tornado that actually hit right here in DeLand. So I know it sounds crazy. We're used to hearing hurricanes hitting, but it was a tornado this time. So we did have some students that were affected from that. So that's also a fund that we just, and Alex can share the link too on that, but was just started. It's actually and it brought back to life a fund we had in place. It's just giving into that fund to help those students who were affected by that, to help with their housing needs and things of that nature. So that's usually going to be a feature in the bottom of our newsletter. So if you're looking for a way to help out current students, that would be there. And then along our right side in our newsletter, you're going to always have the link to be able to go to our website that has all of our upcoming events listed, but we will also feature a handful of events for the upcoming month. So you have a quick kind of view for that, but if you want to view them all, they're located on our website, which we'd love feedback. If any of you have had a chance to hop on there and navigate, we've updated it, we've kind of redesigned it. So we've broken it into kind of 6 categories, which you'll see. There's 6 boxes that are broken down for ease of access, I think. So it's a little bit easier for you to navigate and understand what types of programs, events, opportunities that we're offering to our Hatter alumni. So feel free to jump on there and navigate around. If there's something you can't find, reach out to us and we can certainly point you in the right direction. If you do have a suggestion on something you're like, you know what, I've seen this maybe somewhere else, or curious, do we offer this type of resources, or I'd love to see this, please send it our way and we can see if that is something we can make happen, but we'd love feedback. And on that note, we are launching, and Alex can chat more on this, but we're working on launching a website scavenger hunt. So again, you all are the first to hear this, so you have a head start, but we're going to be launching in our next newsletter a website scavenger hunt to help familiarize our alumni with our new website. So questions like, where would you find the homecoming registration, or where is this located? Have you updated your contact information? So it will hopefully help our alumni understand better where features are on the website so they can use it to its full capabilities. So if you navigate that early now in the next 15 or so days, you'll have a head start if you're looking to join in on that fun website scavenger hunt. But yeah, so that's kind of our website, and happy to get in on that to field any questions and toss it back to you, Alex.
All right, and for anybody that joined the call today, they're just going to be ahead of everyone else. I'm so happy for all of you because you're getting all the secret stuff today. But like Becca mentioned about the website and the scavenger hunt, I'll quickly talk about some other social initiatives that we have. So like we all mentioned before, we do want to offer as many engaging events as we can to alumni and current students in the community. But we also realize that everyone at the same time as our campus is also trying to get back to somewhat of a normal, sustained life. So we know that you might not always be able to join our events again at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the evening. So some other things we're trying to do are some cool social initiatives to keep people engaged online while not necessarily holding an event online. So like Becca mentioned, when we launch this website now, we'll do this scavenger hunt, which Olivia and Green, White, and you got some great feedback over the spring and early summer about a scavenger hunt they did online that ended up getting really great engagement feedback. They were like, we'd love to see more things like this. So we decided when we launched this new website, we'll do a scavenger hunt for that as well. So like Becca mentioned, that'll kind of be set up on Facebook and Instagram is where you'll see most of that. And it'll be me throwing out questions all throughout the week, like, hey, one day, where do you find the profile update? And if you find it and send it back to me in the right location, then you might get a prize. So that's how we'll kind of structure that as like a week-long rollout of our new website with all different kinds of trivia questions and prizes included for some folks that get those right or do what they're supposed to do on those, and might send you a nice prize. And then some other things like the Hatter Highlight, the Alumni Spotlight series. So It's actually funny, I had a little conversation with Rena about it this morning in our office, if anybody knows Rena Arroyo, but she came to me with someone, she said, I want to start talking to this person. I think they'd be great for your alumni spotlight. What are the qualifications? And I said, Rena, are they an awesome Hatter? Then we want to feature them. So that's basically what the alumni spotlight is if you know, or if you are someone who does great work or does great things, we definitely want to showcase you. We've showcased some great individuals the last few weeks and have one more this weekend before we take a little bit of a break on the alumni spotlight. But August is actually Black-owned Business Month. So we have some great alumna who own their own businesses, and we were able to feature them. And actually the first girl we did, Makita Smith, who's doing the webinar with Olivia tomorrow, we featured her on the Alumni Spotlight, kind of showcased her website, and she had multiple people from the link we shared go on and buy some of the jewelry that she makes. So really cool, and it's great for us to just, we love hearing about anybody who is doing great things, and we love to showcase them and kind of get them out there. The Carly Badke, who did the Facebook Live Yoga with us a few weeks ago, she actually worked in higher ed during the pandemic, lost her job in higher ed, and launched her own virtual yoga studio. So I was like, great, like I would love to get your name and studio out there. And her video on our Facebook got over 1,500 views already. So, I mean, any way we can kind of showcase and spotlight all the great alumni we have and all the great work they do, we love to do that. So if anybody has any questions about any of the social initiatives or anything like that, you can definitely feel free to reach out, drop them today, or reach out anytime if anything pops in your head. And I know some on the call today as well join some of our events throughout the spring and summer too. So again, if we love to hear the feedback from everybody, whether positive or negative, we love to hear the feedback on any way we can improve. So if you did join any of our events over the spring and summer, please let us know what you thought. And like Becca mentioned, when we launch that website, everything will be up there. So it'll be great and super easy for everybody to find our events, all your forms, anything you need, basically you'll be able to find on the website now, which will be really exciting. And with that, I will go ahead, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to let us know, or if anybody else on the team wants to hop in with any other updates, feel free to do so.
I'll add in one more
Okay.
while we wait for some questions. So on our website, we do have a learn box with resources, and there's, when you click there, there's a continued learning section that says opportunities, and then our webinar archives. So if there was a particular event that happened this summer that you were unable to attend, or maybe you just missed it, we are, when you select that recorded sessions, you're able to kind of look over the recorded workshops and events that we hosted this summer, which is a neat feature because you can kind of do some asynchronous learning then that way. So you're hop in there and see what's happening in the classroom, which I know is always nice because sometimes you were unable to come during the time we provided it, but you would like to tune in to learn what's happening in the classroom. So just, if you're looking for some past events, they are featured there in our archives.
Yes, and we're very lucky over the summer to have some really awesome faculty members from our campus join us and lead some great discussions and kind of show the community what's going on inside the classroom right now. What are the kids learning? What are they doing? How are they taking what they're learning and going into the field and using it? So we were lucky to have some really awesome faculty join us for that this summer, and bummed, of course, that they're very busy this fall, so they can't do as many of those things with us this fall, but very grateful that they could over the summer, and hope we get them back in the spring and next summer to do some more with us. But yes, if you do have time, please check those out. There's some really great content in there. And does anybody have any questions for any of us this afternoon? Anything about homecoming or any upcoming events this fall, or anything you might like to see out of the office? Yes, Karen.
I have a question. I was working with the Palm Beach County alumni board representatives before COVID started. We were trying to do some type of an event where we would raise funds and or goods for the Hatter Pantry. And I know that now with COVID, certain places here, at least in South Florida, they're not accepting people's donations. In other words, because there could be a concern about contamination, going from maybe my pantry to, somebody else or whatnot. But I wondered what Stetson's thoughts were about that, if they had that issue, because, you know, so many places are doing the drive up where people come through and they get things in their trunk. Well, what if we did a drive up thing where Stetson alumni were there gathering things from other Stetson alums who wanted to drop by, just something from their trunk to a central location. You know, we could have something fun, you know, some banners, balloons, and then gather some donations, and then somebody could volunteer to bring them to Stetson. Again, if this was allowed, I know there's a lot of different rules now about accepting canned goods or, you know, other items. So just an idea or a thought, and if it's something we could do.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a great idea. And going along with, it seems like August is like the home of a lot of months, but one thing August is as well is National Wellness Month. So we did try to push out some cool things that, resources that are on campus for students and alumni. And one of them actually was the Stetson Counseling Services. They kind of manage the Hatter Food Pantry. And I know we can definitely reach out and see what they're up to now. I know the Hatter Food Pantry is still happening this fall. I know students still have access to it. I am not sure what the procedure is right now for handling any donations, but I do know that is something they wanted to keep operational, especially this fall, with how tough it'll be for some students to be able to leave campus and whatnot. So I know it's still ongoing, and we can definitely find out more about that.
Alex, just to chime in on that too, I think it was in our daily email from this morning, actually. It's the only reason why it's in the top of my head, but they are still taking donations, and all you need to do is to call ahead and make an appointment when you're going to drop something off. So I know that in regards to getting everything up to us, and one of us or someone would be able to drop it off, but just have to make an appointment first. And I think they're trying to really encourage and continue donations, because they're also, anytime you drop something off as a donation, you're entered into a raffle. So they're kind of trying to encourage folks to continue donating and dropping something off. So that would definitely be something I think we should look into and work with not only Palm Beach on, but even local Volusia County folks, because they're nearby. Maybe make a friendly competition out of it. But I think that would be great, especially with the tornado recently, and some of our students that have been displaced because of that. I think I would love to work with Alex and whomever else to reach out to that team on campus and see what we could do.
Okay, thank you. I know I had been speaking with Tony Gazzetta, I believe it is, from the Palm Beach area, but I know Hatters like competition, so maybe that's a great idea. We'll get some local counties getting involved. So thank you for looking into that.
Yes, and thank you, Amy, for actually reading those Stetson emails every day.
They come in handy every now and then, like today.
Right when you need them. I'm like, oh man, I didn't read that today, but thank you. And thank you, Karen, for the great idea. I love it. And does anybody else have any questions, comments for us today before we let y'all get back to your day? Anybody else from the team have any final thoughts or words for anybody? All righty, well, with that, I again thank you all for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it, and we certainly can't wait to see your faces on a screen somewhere again soon. And hope you all take care and have a great rest of the day. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.